would like to welcome world number 6, Xander Schauffele, to the interview room here at the Arnold Palmer Invitational 2023. Thanks for joining us for a little time, Xander. You've made one start here in 2020. I think you had a top 25. Coming back here for a second time, what do you bring with you from that experience?
Yeah, of course, it's really hard. I think 5 under won last year, and it's always very difficult. The forecast shows a very windy Friday, so it's very much an execution style golf course versus a plodding style golf course. So with the wind up, I imagine it being very difficult.
Do you see any changes to the course from what you remember a couple of years ago when you played?
Yeah, all the greens seem new. The turf seems to be a lot more consistent, I'd say. Greens are pretty firm. Probably a little bit on the slower side, but that makes sense with the winds picking up the next couple of days.
Okay, if we have some questions for Xander, just raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone. While we're waiting for a question or two, we'll go to Kathy over here on the side.
So you came once, decided it wasn't for you, and now you're back. Is that it, or is it?
No, I mean, I'm a West Coast kid, so I'm trying to grow some roots here in Florida, so there's a good chance that you'll see me a lot more often on these Florida courses.
The grasses and stuff are so different?
Sorry?
The grasses and stuff are so different here?
Yeah, it's just not what I'm used to growing up. It's very nice. It's very consistent compared to what I'm used to on the West Coast, but, you know, it's just the norm for me.
We'll go over to Sean Martin right here, right behind you, Sean, with the mic. Thanks.
You said putting down some roots. Are you moving? Or?
I'm trying. We'll see. It was snowing in Vegas, so makes golf very difficult.
Next door to Patrick or 2 doors down?
Sorry?
Next door to Patrick or 2 doors down?
Yeah, we're actually just going to share a house at this point.
But in reality, is it just to get used to a different environment, get used to the grasses, like she said, or is there another reason?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a reason everyone's kind of on this side. After the West Coast swing, pretty much everything's east of Texas, so it would make a lot of sense, you know, minus a couple majors, depending on the year, the U.S. Open, obviously, but for the most part, all the golf is northeast, east, and the time zone and travel. I'm not getting younger, so I'm trying to be a little bit smarter with my time.
Question? Go right here in the front with Doug.
Have you found a
nice haircut.
Oh, yeah? I'm thinking of a comeback. Give me a second. Have you found a recipe that works for you in getting yourself ready for a major?
Probably not. I haven't won one yet, so you know, I think I kind of have an idea. It helps to play a few of the properties more often, get comfortable, but for the most part, I mean, you really just got to get yourself in the right mindset. And biggest thing that I've kind of learned is just it's so hard to do, but get enough rest. It's a hard thing to do when you're trying to learn a new course and you're really eager to win and want to go out there and practice all day and get acclimated to the property. But sometimes, you know, the best thing you can do is rest up so you're fresh to compete.
Have you ever gone up early?
Sorry?
Have you ever gone up early to Augusta, for example?
I went once with Austin, and I don't know how many times I've played it now, 5 or 6 times, and I've only gone once, my first time I ever played it, and it was 40 and hailing basically, and I still played 18 holes and had a blast. Probably the happiest I was on a golf course with how bad the weather was.
Get back to Jeff in the middle.
Xander, you called this an execution-style golf course, which I suppose can have 2 different meanings. But do you like the idea that this is a golf course that has single-digit winners, that plays maybe more like a major, demands more on everything that's in your bag?
Yeah, it's good prep for a major. It's just a really hard property. Yeah, I mean, if you're out of position, they started mowing the grass. This is new for me. They started mowing the rough towards tee boxes, which is just absolutely horrendous. It makes it so difficult. Every time you miss the fairway, you're sitting underground or trying to like find a bunker you can hit your next ball into, or if you can cover 100 yards over a hazard, or you name it. So the level of difficulty they're putting up here is real. So it's definitely good prep for a major, and definitely gets you, or it should get you very, very dialed in.
What other courses do you play that would be similar to single-digit winners and getting you ready for a major?
Memphis is another course that's really hard. It's very target-oriented. You have to execute your shots and be really committed to your lines. There's no, when I say execution too, sometimes playing to sort of the fat part of the side, or the big miss towards the, the fat part of the green. You leave yourself like a 40 or 50 footer, and out here, if you're out of position, you'd be lucky to have a 40 or 50 footer. Typically, you're going to have like a 30-yard bunker shot or 20-yard bunker shot, depending on where the pins are. So, just because you had a good drive doesn't mean you're going to have a decent look at birdie. You have to keep it going on every shot, pretty much on every hole.
Anything else? We'll come down the front with the mic for Doug. Thank you. Thank you.
This may seem kind of weird, but what kind of ego do you have, do you think?
Sorry?
What kind of ego do you think you have?
What kind of ego do I have? I have an ego. I do.
I think we all do. I'm just trying to get an idea of what...
The level of it, I probably would never tell you. Just keep you guessing.
We just make stuff up anyway.
Big ego guy.
How do you, whatever it is, and I guess we'll find out in another lifetime, how do you manage it in a sport like golf?
Just play the game. It'll humble you, pretty much, especially out here. It'll kick your ass a lot more times than not.
Have you ever, and this question was posed to John a little bit earlier, Ram, if you are firing on all cylinders, do you think anyone can beat you?
I don't think so. I feel like I've almost never fired on all cylinders. I can't wait to see what that feels like. But I would imagine I've worked pretty hard at this, so if I do fire on all cylinders, it wouldn't be possible. But the whole point of golf is you can be the best without having to fire on all cylinders. And when you do, there's a few guys I've seen fire on all cylinders, and it's fun to watch.
What's the closest you've come, do you think?
I don't know. That's a great question. I really haven't put it together.
Another non-answer. Great.
Go to Gary on the left.
All the times you come to Orlando for tournaments, have you ever gone over to the Disney and done some of the stuff in the park?
What do you think?
It could go either way.
I don't have any kids, and I'm like almost 30, but I just told my wife actually the other day, I was like, if we're driving, staying in I guess everything's surrounded by this Disney World thing. So I was like, if we have kids someday, you can take them there because it'll drive me nuts.
So you've never, have you ever been to any of the Disney properties?
Maybe
in
once or twice. I've been called the Grinch before during Christmas time, so that kind of adds up.
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you.
Jonathan, right here.
Hey, Xander. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who noticed this, but I saw you with the red Odyssey putter today on the practice green. I know you had a putter that they had made for you. What are you working on right now with your putter? Are you considering going back to the red version this week?
They actually made both of them for me. The red one is actually incognito, but it is like the new one. It's milled. They just painted it. Oh yeah, you gotta take a closer look. It's nice.
All right.
It's like a big brother of my other red one.
Get the microphone to Sean again.
So if you weren't firing on all cylinders when you won back-to-back starts last summer, what was missing?
Here we go. When I would imagine firing on all cylinders, it's sort of like you kind of have spurts of it, I'd say, through a certain span of holes. Yeah, I mean, when it's really windy, like in Scotland, it's that I would call that plotting. You plot around a property, you play really smart, you hole a couple putts in the wind, and you don't have to be perfect, which is why I really like playing golf over there, because you can just work your way around a property, avoiding those bunkers, and your life will be manageable. The Travelers, Yeah, I mean, I three putted 15, like shanked it on 16 or whatever 16, like way right of the green, got up and down. I mean, it's golf, so it's really firing on all cylinders. You're asking for a lot of us. Like it's rare. You know, maybe it happens for a round and that's already exceptional, and then you shoot 61 or something like that. So, I mean, I hooked it on 12 and it hit the fence and came back into play. So it's like, that was my big break. You know, if I was firing on all cylinders, I would have had like a birdie look there, not like a have to save bogey look type deal. So that'd probably be the difference.
Go back to Gary over here.
How closely, if at all, do you follow the world rankings? I mean, do you look every week? And if you do look, do you just see what number you're at, or do you check the points? Or you like Pete Rose when you're in the course? I mean, Pete Rose would have his batting average figured out by the time he got to first base. Are you making a putt on 18 going, oh, that's .6? What's your feeling about it?
I'm aware. I'd say I'm kind of spotty. There are times where I'm looking more. If I need some more motivation than normal, then I'll just look at the page. Everyone strives to be the best in the world, so looking at that page, and if you're not number one, you should be pretty motivated to work hard. So, but for the most part, I'd say it varies. There'll be months where I won't even really care or look at it because I'm just working on something in my game, and other times I'll look at it to use it for motivation. So it varies.
Okay, we'll wrap up with Doug.
As we look forward down to 24 and beyond, do you have an opinion on what is a appropriate size of field and whether there should be a cut as it relates to some of the top events?
You know, we're trying to make the best product, and I would, to answer the cut question, I am always for a cut. Emotionally, I'm for a cut. There is an aspect of it, I'd say, that's really entertaining for some, but at the end of the day, a lot of people and a lot of kids like to come see the top players play in the world, and if they're not having their best and they can still, they got a baseball game on Saturday, Timmy can still come with his dad and watch Rory tee up on Sunday, no matter what happens. And I think it's also an easier package to sell to the sponsors when you tell them that 20 of the top 20 players in the world are going to be there, and then through Thursday through Sunday. I think that's an easier package to sell when it comes to sort of what makes the best product. And then size of field, I mean, you start looking at the issues we start to have on the West Coast. We can't even finish tournaments on time. We're waking up at 5 a.m. We're teeing off earlier. We're missing sort of windows on television that aren't ideal. So I'm no expert on what size I would be. Smaller than not, probably, but you can start to create sort of a better product by start ticking off those boxes and then solve from there.
What's your favorite tournament to warm up in the dark at?
Waste management is pretty fun. See some crazy people running at like whatever time that is in the morning. Use the leaderboard as like a warm figure because it's so cold usually in the morning there, but it doesn't give any warmth, let me tell you.
Okay, thanks for your time, Xander. We appreciate it. Have a great tournament.